Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I made a really cool table runner, and you can see it has these little cords that run up or along the side. This was a pattern that I found that my grandmother had, and I inherited a bunch of her old knitting and crochet patterns. So I read the pattern, I said that looks kind of interesting. It was an Afghan pattern, so you could make this as wide as you wanted for an Afghan or a blanket. I decided to do a table runner. So I used purple and orange for Halloween and the fall, and it looks really cool. So a few notes about this pattern. It is worked in tens. So there's 10 double crochets, then there's 10 chains, 10 double crochets, 10 chains, 10 double crochets. You want to have your 10 double crochets on each end, so you don't want to end on a chain. And these 10 chains we will kind of weave together to form this cord every so often. So for your foundation chain, you're going to want probably at least 30. So that would be 10, 20, 30. And then I did 50 here. So 30, 40, 50, and then you add an extra chain at the end. So as you're going through to do your multiple, just make sure that you're going to end on a count of 10 that are going to be the double crochets. So I like to think of it as multiple of 20 plus 11. So you've got your 20 plus your 10 here, and then your extra chain at the end. It works up really quickly, and it's a super easy pattern, and it creates, by doing these chains here and weaving them together to form this cord, it has this really cool effect at the end. So I will show you how I did mine. I also added a single crochet border along the sides, and because I was changing colors, I wanted to hide the purple and the orange that were running up along one of the sides. So it turned out really cool. You can add fringe if you want at the end. You can make a scarf, a blanket, a baby blanket. It's such a versatile vintage pattern. Okay, so you can use any yarn. If you think that, if you're making a table runner and you think that it's going to come into contact with heat, I suggest using cotton. But for mine, I just did acrylic because it's just sort of a decor to have around the house during Halloween. So I'm using a size 4 acrylic, and I'm just going to make a little sample, and the size hook I'm using is a 5mm. Okay, so what you want to do is chain a multiple of 20 plus 11, and that would give you your 10 chains, or your 10 double crochets, 10 chains, 10 double crochets plus 1. So I'm going to chain 31 to start, but you can chain as wide as you want the project to be, as long as you know that you are ending on a section that is going to be double crochets. You don't want to end on one of those chains. And just be aware that when we finish the project, those chain, kind of 10 chain spaces that we do, we will be weaving those together and intertwining them, and so your project will narrow up a little bit. So the foundation chain is not going to be as wide as your final project. So to start, put a slip knot on your hook and chain as many as you need to start. So I'm going to chain 31. So once you have your chain length, you're going to put a double crochet in the second chain from hook, and that will give you your end chain and then a double crochet in the next one, and then put a double crochet into the next 8. So you should have a total of 10 double crochets along this bottom. Once you have 10 double crochets, that's your end section. You are going to chain 10, skip 10 stitches down here, and just remind yourself that one has been worked, so go to the next one and start counting. Once you find your 10th chain, you're going to put a double crochet into it. So once you've skipped 10, put a double crochet into the next stitch, and you've got your chain 10 space, and then work a double crochet all the way along, and you should have 10 at the end. And that is your first row done. So you can see when we're done, we're going to be able to pull these up and together and it'll form those cords. So for me, because I am only doing one chain 10 space essentially, I'm only going to have one cord running up the center. To start our second row, chain 3, turn your work, double crochet into the next, and into every stitch along until you get to the top of that first double crochet over here. Put a double crochet into it, and then we're going to chain 10. So just work your double crochets along until you get to that chain space. And so you should have a double crochet over every double crochet. At this point, we're at our chain 10 space. We're going to chain 10. We're going to go over and find the stitch that we want to work into. So we're going to put a double crochet into the top of this double crochet. So you're going to have to kind of yarn, you're going to yarn over, put your hook in, pull up that loop, and just do a double crochet. Sometimes it can get twisted because you're working with such a long chain in between stitches. And once you put that double crochet in, work a double crochet all along the top. So one double crochet into the top of each of the previous double crochets, and you should have 10 double crochets on this side. And don't forget to work into the top of your chain. So you should be able to work into the top of that chain, beginning chain, or your chain 3 from the previous row. Now if you want to change color, you would do that by just not finishing that double crochet. So I've put half of my double crochet I would bring in another color, wrap it around, and pull that through both of those. And that's how you would change color. I am just going to work in a solid color, so I'm going to finish that double crochet, chain 3, turn my work, and do the same thing. And it's going to be the same thing over and over. Double crochets into the top of your double crochets. You're always going to chain 10 over your chain 10 spaces here and connect it on this side. So double crochet on this side. And eventually you'll have something that looks like, it looks a little different. So you're going to have kind of a dense fabric over here, and in the middle you're going to have your open chains, and we're going to start wrapping them like this, and it will pull your work together, and it creates sort of a cord going up. So continue working your double crochets, and I will meet you back to show you how to weave up the middle and finish the project. Okay, so once you have it the length that you want, you'll have something that looks like this. And you may have more chain 10 spaces along your work, depending on how wide you decided to make your project. So now what we want to do is start weaving these together to bring it and make that cord. So to do the weaving part, you're going to take this bottom chain and you're going to put it over that second chain. So here's that second, here's the first one. You're going to bring it over the second and grab that second chain. Take that second chain and bring it over the third. You can see it kind of starts forming this little braided cord. Take the next chain, which is right behind it, and put that underneath like this and pull it up. And keep going like that. So every next chain you want to go right under the previous and pull it up. And you're going to do that for each chain that you have in your project. So each chain 10 section that you have, you're going to go ahead and do this part. So you'll have a bunch of rows that look like this with that braided cord. Once you've done that, sometimes it's helpful to put a little safety pin so it doesn't unravel itself when you work this next part, which is going to be the border row. So for the border row, I just chain 1, turn, and that's where you would have your safety pin. Work a single crochet along each stitch, so you should have 10 because we had 10 double crochets here. Work 2 single crochet into that chain space up here, and then a single crochet along the top. So you should have 10 here. Alright, so I'm at my chain space here, and because I did not put a safety pin, it kind of came out here. So just make sure that you have that top one pulled up through the previous and over. And then we're going to single crochet into the top, into that chain space up here. You're going to put 2 single crochets into that space. Find the next double crochet, top of that double crochet, and do a single crochet. And a single crochet into each of the next 9 stitches all the way across. To turn the corner, I like to put an extra 2 single crochets right into that same stitch that I came out of with that last single crochet from that row, and then I'll work down the side. So I'm just going to put 2 single crochets right into each of those spaces along the side. If you don't like the amount of space that that creates, you can work directly into the stitch from your double crochet in your chain 3 space, or chain 3. And just work 2 stitches evenly . When you get down to this next corner, just put 3 single crochets to turn the corner, and then a single crochet along the bottom first 10 stitches. So at the bottom of each of those double crochet from your foundation chain row. And sometimes, because it's a foundation chain row, it can cause some issues finding a spot to work into. But just try to work on the other side of the chain, foundation chain from where you did your double crochets. when you come to the last one, so I've got one here, and then that is part of my chain here. We're going to chain one, skip this whole bit, and find the top of the double crochet from this side and single crochet into it, and that will connect your bottom. And then do a single crochet, again at the corner. I like to put in three single crochets right into the corner, just to get around that corner and round it out a little bit. And then I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the spaces from each row. So each double crochet row is going to get 2 single crochets on the end. When you come back to the beginning, just find the corner and just put 2 single crochets to round that out, and slip stitch to the top of the next stitch, and then you can fasten off. And that is a super cool technique. I thought it was really cool. It was a really cool crochet technique. I hadn't even thought of doing something like that, but it creates a very nice braided type cord up the middle. This is great for baby blankets. You can use it as a scarf as well. The back is seamed up like this, so it's not bad as a scarf either, but there is clearly a front side and a back side. Like I said, I made a really cool looking table runner. You can do whatever you want though. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Until next time, bye!